Hey everybody, thanks for coming to another episode of My Angular Story. Today, we are lucky to have the chance to chat with the Brad Green without glasses. How's things going, Brad?
It's a great day, sir. It's bright and sunny out. How's it over there?
Good. Not sunny, but It is a good day. Yeah, it's still warmish.
Yeah.
So Brad, you're on because you're making some changes, and I know everyone's gonna have a lot of questions. You're loved by a lot of the Angular people, and so it felt like a good time to do an episode with you.
Oh my goodness. Yes, please. That sounds wonderful.
This episode is sponsored by Sentry.io. Recently, I came across a great tool for tracking and monitoring problems in my apps. Then I asked them if they wanted to sponsor the show and allow me to share my experience with you. Sentry provides a terrific interface for keeping track of what's going on with my app. It also tracks releases so I can tell if what I deployed makes things better or worse. They give full stack traces and as much information as possible about the situation when the error occurred to help you track down the errors. Plus, one thing I love, you can customize the context provided by Sentry. So, if you're looking for specific information about the request, you can provide it. It automatically scrubs passwords and secure information, and you can customize the scrubbing as well. Finally, it has a user feedback system built in that you can use to get information from your users. Oh, and I also love that they support open source to the point where they actually open sourced Sentry if you want to self-host it. Use the code devchat at Sentry.io to get 2 months free on Sentry's small plan. That's code devchat at Sentry.io.
So you tweeted on Friday night or Thursday night, you tweeted, "Hey, I'm moving on, but I love this. I love the people. It's in good hands." And I'm excited to hear kind of what your new thing is, or your new adventure.
Yeah. A lot of folks have asked, like, "Hey, Brad, why are you leaving?" Like, as if there's something wrong with Google or Angular or me or something. And I think after having been there for 12 years, I wish people would ask, like, "Brad, why did you stay so long?"
Yeah, 12 years is forever.
It's like forever.
4 years worth of time.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's like when I heard you leaving, I didn't even like, oh, I wonder why. I just 12 years is a really long time.
Yeah.
And I know I know before that you worked with like Steve Jobs and you did other great things before Google. Then you did Google for 12 years. And I'm like, I want to know what cool thing he's doing now. Like, I just know that's kind of what you're doing. So yeah. Did you get asked by a lot of people, why are you leaving? Did you get asked?
Yeah, I think everybody wants to know, like, hey, Brad's the leader of this organization right now. What does this mean for me? Like, I picked Angular. I worked at Google, or, whatever my personal identity is wrapped up in. What does his leaving mean for me? And I think really probably nothing.
Yeah. That's kind of what I took. The usual suspects besides you are still all around, right? Like Igor, Misko, Kara, like Alex. Everyone's still there.
Everyone's still there. Yeah. And that's part of why I can leave, because all of these folks have grown into these amazing leaders. Misko and Igor started as the primary implementers, and now they're managers, and they are mentoring the next level of themselves. Kara, Alex Rickabaugh, Alex Eagle, all these folks are amazing. And Steven's taken over a lot of that public-facing side of the world. Yeah. They're all amazing presenters. So, yeah, it's a fine time. When your kids have grown to the point where they don't actually need you anymore, they still love you, but this is a fine time to go do something else.
Yeah. I mean, plus they just got merged into a team that probably is better for them long-term, right? Like you guys got merged into an organization that's probably a better framework organization, it sounds like.
Yeah, this was a long time coming. And inside Google, we had various actual competitors who build, UI frameworks much like Angular. And it took a while for me to figure out how to convince some of them that maybe we should just work together. Maybe because we're after the same thing. We're building really for the same space. Why don't we do the same thing?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember your boss's name. I met him at NGConf.
Brian Stoller. Yeah.
Super nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah.
And is he kind of stepping into the Brad role when you take off, or is there like a new Brad coming in, or?
There's no new Brad. He is taking over my internal responsibilities, but as far as external people, you're still going to see the same characters, Mishko and Igor and Steven and Minko and Rob, all those folks. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool. He seems like a good person to take that over. At least like in listening to him talk with your team, I was like, he seems like a pretty cool manager.
He's got a very similar history to me. He started about the same time I did at Google, and he's come up on sort of the other side of the world for me. And he's worked on a lot of the infrastructure.
What does that mean, other side of the world?
Well, so he worked on a lot of the sort of the public-facing infrastructure, things that now power Gmail and Google Search and YouTube, all of these places, which is a really amazing marriage for what Angular brings sort of from the enterprise side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Having these two things together, it's going to be super powerful.
Yeah, probably for both sides, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Any chance he's going to get up and like help Keynote going forward and kind of fill that Brad role, or?
He said no. He said, you're not going to not see me externally, but we'll see. Maybe he gets convinced that this is a thing he wants to be part of.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. He seems like a really nice guy. I know, like during that Q&A section at the end of NGConf, he came up on stage, and I could see, I was like, he's like not comfortable being up on that stage, but
it's not a thing for everyone.
I hope that he gets a little more comfortable with the Angular community to be a little bit of the Brad, to fill that gap. So.
Yeah. People are going to do things differently than I did.
Yeah.
And in some, and I will probably disagree with some of them, but I bet they do things better in a lot of ways than I did.
Yeah. Well, times changed. Better now is not better yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's right.
It's when I look at you, I've known you for 6 years now, and when I think about you and what you built, I still think back to like this chance opportunity where Michko says, and he's kind of talking out his arse a little bit. Hey, I could replace this whole thing in like 2 weeks with the thing I made, right?
Yeah, the start of Angular.
And it takes a manager to say, like, all right, do it. Or someone has to say, I dare you, or go ahead, or empower him, right?
Yeah.
And you did that.
Yeah. That's
pretty cool. That's changed. And then on that chance, because you could have been having a bad day, right? You could have missed a coffee, and he doesn't do it. But think of how many meetups and conferences and Stack Overflow genres, and like, so big. It's so huge what you guys have created. Like, it's massive.
It's mind-boggling. We never were thinking this when Mishko and I were trying to solve one of our own personal pain problems in just our development speed with the Angular JS side of the world. And no, we had no idea that this could be what it is. And you and the folks at NGConf had been a huge part of it. Like, this is how we developed the external feel of Angular with you folks. This is what the community is about. We actually didn't know. Like, it's kind of like it emerged for us, and then we helped, but we didn't know this was going to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy just to see those chance decisions, and that everyone was like, "Yeah, we're on board." And it's really kind of, I don't know if it's say humbling or more inspiring. It's both, though, to be honest. And to watch it was fun, and I'm still watching it, but it's fun. And being your guys' friends, I feel like you guys are my friends, and it's fun to see your friends be so successful, like ridiculously successful,
You too. Like, how amazed are you at how NGConf has blossomed into this multi-year journey?
It's insane. Every day is crazy. People still think we're part of the Angular team, so we get way more credit than we deserve for everything. And
well, let me correct you, because you are part of the Angular team.
Yeah, we feel close to you guys, but people think that like I write Angular or like I affect your team's decision. Like, and so I'm like, yeah. Anyway, it's been fun. Yeah. It's been fun to be on the ride.
Yeah. Oh man, so good.
I remember the first time I ever talked to you, I was so nervous. I was like, because I was like, I didn't know you, and I was coming to ask you for a favor. Like, I remember, I still remember how nervous I was, which is weird because I don't often get nervous. and you guys were so cool. You guys were like, it was so much fun to have you guys be like, perfect, let's do this conference. And it's been awesome ever since then.
That was kind of our attitude the whole time. It was just like, let's try it out. I don't know. Maybe it could work out. We made many mistakes in the process, but like that attitude seems to have gotten us a long ways. Just like, let's try something.
Yeah. So a lot of us look up to you, and you run the business side of Angular, and you've helped get Google to finance this giant effort. Cause I mean, you guys have like 30 people on your team, right? Plus contractors and et cetera.
Yeah.
And you've run the business side of that to get Google to keep financing that and building this thing that everyone loves. So I'm imagining that's not as easy as you make it look. And I'm sitting there like, you've been here for over a decade, which is just it's a really long amount of time in my opinion. And so I'm thinking other people want to hear this, which is what I'm going to ask. What is like the biggest takeaway from your interaction with the Angular team and with Angular community? Like, how did Brad grow is what I guess.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, so much. I don't know if it's a good idea. I've been thinking of doing maybe a video series on like, here's the things I learned in the last 12 years. Yeah. But a couple things certainly building a community around your product, so helpful. Like because of that, we've had, I would say actually Angular grew externally popular before it grew internally popular. And I think the external popularity is a big reason why it became popular internally. That folks saw this product being used and supported and having answers and books and conferences and all the things that you're going to want to have in a product, and comparing that to something that like, well, we use it inside and it's good, but having a community around it's really critical. It's been a way that we found a lot of our members, like, from the very first, Igor came to us because he was using Angular. He was over at Sun and building some sites, and he started to talk to Mishko over some of the things that they were doing, and that's how we found him. And even like the guy we hired most recently, Minko, of course, he's became the expert in the community. And so it's this wonderful way to both meet friends and have these wonderful relationships, but also as a hiring pipeline. There's no better way than if I've already been working with someone to know that they're going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You built an entire GDE community as well, like this community of experts, which, how did you do that? It's such a talented pool of people. How much like effort, like what did you, I'm just trying to absorb, like, what did
I do? I was lucky enough to attract Jules and then Steven. I can really take no responsibility for the GDE program. A lot of support from Google, and there's really great infrastructure that the GDE program at Google provides, but then really it's those two. Like Jules kicked it off and Steven's really blown it out for how many folks that we can work with to both hopefully help them, but also really dramatically help all the people in the Angular community.
Yeah. I love Steven. I remember when Steven and I were just, non-Googlers, and I'm still non-Googler, but I remember when we were just two guys at a conference, and now he's like this awesome leader and awesome community leader for your team. And
yeah, he sure is.
Been fun to watch grow as well. He's grown a lot, and he's really good at what he does. He's been fun to watch. Another guy he's the funnest for me to watch on your team is Rob. How's Rob changed your team?
Oh man. Yeah. He's in a lot of ways like Mishko, in that he's a giant thinker and the world does not have concrete boundaries and the possibilities are reality for Rob. Rob lives about 5 years in the future, and he gives us reports of what it's like out there.
Hey, from the future, this is what I learned.
Now, in his world, I think that's just today and it's reality. And he's just talking to us who have not yet caught him.
Yeah. He's fun. So so you learned, hey, build a community. What other big takeaways did you get from your time?
Yeah. So one of the things I had started learning maybe about the time of Angular, that in a big company, So I had always come from startups. I had never worked at a company more than, say, 400 people. You can actually treat a big company like a startup. You can, if you're paying the bills on a core big project, you can actually have a side project that is related to the big projects that you do. So Angular started off supporting other projects, the Google Feedback project that I was running, and then later the Green Tea project and AdWords and a whole slew of other big projects inside Google. And in terms of funding, that's how we were able to make it work and make it make sense for Google, is that this was productivity that we were offering to developers inside. And then doing it open source allow us to give it to more than just folks on the inside of Google. But being able to have the flexibility to do fun things and have really innovative, big ticket items with the low risk of having a big company behind you, where like if I fail at Angular, and I've failed at a lot of things inside Google, the worst thing that happens to me is I have to go eat at a different cafe. Right?
Yeah. Wow. So I poked around a couple people who they all, look up to you, respect you. They're your friends. And I was like, hey, what are some things we talked to Brad about on this podcast? And I think, and one of the things that came up, and it was like, oh yeah, of course. I think it was you. I'm going to blame you. You coined this awesome term that means a lot to a lot of us, which is you can sit with us. And where did that come from? Did you accidentally fall into that and it was just like a perfectly serendipitous thing to say to everyone? Because it means a lot to a lot of people in your community. So can you talk about you can sit with us and where that came from and what does that mean to you?
Yeah. I actually found it on this t-shirt website, and what's it called? I may remember the name of the website, but they produce these really short run sets of t-shirts. Like if 30 people sign up and they say they'll buy it, then they'll print it.
Okay.
And I saw this and it just clicked with me, because we were seeing so many people in the community looking at us like, people on a pedestal, the untouchable, come with all the answers coming down from high. And that's not who we are. We don't have all the answers. We have very few answers. And we arrive at answers together with people inside Google and people outside Google. And so I wanted that to be, at least for me, the mantra that I told people. Like, look, I'm the same as you, and we do stuff together. Just, hey, let's feel comfortable if we can.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool phrase. I sometimes wonder if am I saying this because I'm biased, or am I saying this because it's real? The Angular community is pretty special. Like, of the other developer communities I've been a part of, and even inside the JavaScript community, which I think is phenomenal, even inside of that, the Angular community is like, it's like on a different level, fantastic. And I think that you can sit with us resonates largely with the community because it is breaking down those barriers of, hey, everyone here is welcome. Like, there's not a type of person here who's more welcome. And I think you guys have been great. You guys honestly taught me a lot about being more just inclusive to everyone, and you can sit with us really, really, really embraces that, like embodies that sentiment.
I have to say, like, the whole community taught me this. I didn't come into it with the most inclusive mindset. Like, I've learned a ton, and it was something that I really wanted. That when I realized this community was starting to happen, I wanted the feeling behind it to be amazing. And it clicked with me that, well, look, if there are some people that are in an inner circle, like, it's not going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing for those small set of people, but for the rest of folks, it's going to feel really wrong and bad.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So, you are huge at kicking this whole thing off. Like, in the beginning, if you weren't involved, it wasn't happening. Like, I think right now it's like, okay, we're going to remove Brad, and it's going to keep going and it's going to be successful. And this is my opinion. But in the beginning, you were like, you made it happen, you empowered it, and then you even like wrote the first book on Angular and started doing
that was hard.
So how much gumption, or like how serious did you have to be? Like, I guess, when did you know this is a thing, I gotta like write books and blah and blah? Like, when did that kind of click for you?
Yeah, it's one of these things when you're doing something that you are really not into and it's hard, then it's so taxing and it's so draining. And if there's something that is really a passion for you, no amount of work is really hard. There's pressure, but none of it is stress.
Yeah. And
that's what the Angular experience has been like for me. And maybe writing the book was stress. Like, that was an 8 till 2 a.m. job after hours, after my kids went to bed. Yeah. I don't know if I'll do that again. That's super hard. But the rest of it, it's just fun. Definitely just fun. Like, all of the building, all of the internal negotiation, all of the, late nights preparing for conferences, flying around the world to deliver the conferences, just fun.
Yeah. So you, the you can sit with us thing, you're like, hey, I want to tear down some of this nerd famous thing where people put us on the pedestal. And I think you've killed it. There's still this level, though. It's like, when Brad thanks me for something, it means tons. And there's so many people in the community who are like, Brad said my name, like, oh my God. And they, I
think that's about to mean almost nothing in about 5 seconds, but yes.
No, it does. Like people who are trying to grow, when they get this, it's like a monster validation to people when Brad or someone like Brad says, hey, check this out. This is awesome. And so, like, I was talking to Sam Julien, and he said, Brad at NG Atlanta thanked me by name for what I'd done on NG Upgrade. And he's like, that totally validated everything I'd done and all my hard work. And like, it meant a ton to me. And I think that Sam's like one of dozens of people, like dozens and dozens of people that you've had these micro interactions with that were really, really meaningful. And I certainly have a series of them as well. And so I guess everyone that I talked to just wanted to say to you, thanks, because you've been significant to a lot of us in a lot of different ways.
Oh, it's so good. It makes me feel bad for all the people that I should have thanked that I didn't get around to, or I don't know, I lost track of it, but there are so many other people that really deserve a ton of thanks. Things they've done for the community in helping others grow and building tools and solving problems with us on GitHub. Yeah. It's been just so good on both sides, I think.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see what you guys have built. So I'm trying to be respectful of your time. Is there anything left unsaid that you're like, hey, I need to say this to the community, or is there anything that you think we should be watching for, or that we should be doing?
Don't let the community change except for the better. That's the only thing I want to see happen. I want to make sure that just because I'm gone, that all of the good things that we've built together don't change. And I don't think they have to. There's really no reason.
Yeah.
If I have one wish on the way out, that would be it.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I learned with you was I'm the first year at NGConf. We were getting pretty close to the con. Most things were pretty much concrete already. There wasn't a lot of room to swerve left. Mm-hmm. And you guys said to us, hey, you need to focus on diversity. And for me, this was a brand new word. I didn't know what it meant. And yeah. I said, yeah, dude, we're totally going to focus on this. Like I totally, and then we came back and we're like, guys, Brad wants to focus on diversity. What does that mean? Like, what do we have to change? Yeah. In year one, it was almost like, cause we were caught off guard, checking a box, just to say it crudely, cause we didn't really understand.
Yeah.
And year two, you brought it up again, like, hey, diversity. I'm like, okay. So we focused on it a little bit more, and we started paying attention to it, and we added a couple milestones for ourselves to know that, hey, if we hit these milestones, then something's going right. And every year, though, it got more and more important to us. Like, and now, and I honestly learned this from you and your team. Now, and diversity turned into inclusivity, which is, I think, a better way to encapsulate what we were trying to build.
Yeah.
And now it's such a pleasure to build something that's inclusive and to build something that's like welcoming for everybody. And that, I mean, we just had our 6th NGConf, right? So that means me and you've worked together 6 times, like 6 years, basically.
Yeah.
So 6 years, that's the biggest thing I've learned from you guys in the last 6 years is, hey, making people feel welcome and safe is super, like, probably the most important thing we could do.
Oh, yeah. Because if not, there's this huge mental tax that you always worry about, like, am I safe? And if you have to be worrying about that stuff, you're not at your 100%. You're like at 50%.
Yeah.
And when I started communicating it to you, that was like 2 years down my path of figuring it out also.
Yeah.
So like it took me a while. Like when I wrote the book, we donated the proceeds to the Anita Borg Foundation. I've tried a bunch of other things. I think I still haven't unlocked it perfectly, but I do know that this psychological safety, this do I feel comfortable, you got to have that. That's the first bit anywhere.
Yeah. I saw you guys and a lot of the learning I do in life, I kind of see something and then I parrot it. I could try and be a parrot and reproduce. I saw you guys acted like big brothers and big sisters when Jules and Nomi were involved. Like you acted like these older siblings to the rest of us. And, you know, hey, like this is how you do it. And so it's been, and I feel like that now when I'm at an event, I'm like, hey, I feel like a big brother too. Like you've kind of turned me into that where it's like, I really, really care.
Yeah. And now you can, like, we've all grown, and that's the best when the people you help then can become that next set of folks who can make more people comfortable.
Yeah. 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 It's awesome. Well, as I asked around, there's just a whole lot of say thanks, tell them thanks. And the list of things to thank you for was really long. So I don't want to pressure you. Can you talk about what's next? Or
Sure. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So number one, I got to use up all my massage credits because really I'd be really remiss if I left with some of those. Yeah. I'm going to take a month and a half off.
Cool.
And gonna record some of the things that I've learned here at Google over the last 12 years. Apparently I've been at Google longer than 95% of all full-time engineers.
Wow.
People, not just engineers, people.
It's a long time. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It is a I mean, it's an outrageous amount of time to have one job. Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. And then I'm going to Facebook, but no, I'm not working on the React team. I'm going to work on internal developer tools, helping them become productive. There's a lot of cool stuff. They're investing a lot. And it's not that I chose Facebook over Google. It's that there was some cool opportunities that they reached out to me on and seemed like a really good thing for me to do next.
Yeah, cool. So you get to stay kind of close where you're at now. You don't have to move or
No, don't have to move. So good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. You can stay close to the family and everything. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be fun. So internal developer tools like company-wide or user?
Yeah, it's company-wide. It's things like, how do you edit and how do you build and how do you really get that sort of tight developer loop faster and faster so that people stay productive. So
are you focusing on internal developer tooling or like the external people working with API tooling?
No, it's the internal developer tooling. I mean, that's my first thing. But well, if I have another 12 years maybe at Facebook, then we'll see. The future is long.
So like as verticals go, how far are you from like a Sheryl Sandberg or like how far like? Yeah,
good question. I actually don't know. I assume pretty far.
Okay.
Probably like I was at Google. A couple, 3 or 4, maybe 5 layers down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. You're gonna, I mean, that's the most used website in the world. Google search the most used website? It's one of the most used websites in the world, right? It's insane.
Yeah, it's up there. It's one of the top for sure.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I don't actually know. It's a little weird. I'm not actually I do use Facebook, but not a lot. Maybe I'll be more of a Facebook user, but
yeah. Huh. Well, it's interesting. I think you're the perfect guy for that role, to get in there and get everyone in a more like Zen state as far as programming goes. So that's cool, man. I'm excited for you. What are kind of the challenges you're most looking forward to at your new position?
I don't know. It's a lot of a big unknown thing. And this is part of the attraction, actually, is that actually I know Google really well. I've built stuff, like both features and infrastructure that sit in every product you ever use at Google.
Yeah.
From like YouTube to Chrome to search to Android. I've been so lucky to be able to work on teams that have touched all of those products. And I think it's time for a new space. And I think, the unknown is part of the attraction for sure.
Well, that's cool. That's fun, man. I know a couple people like Jules and Vojta. They've come back a couple of times to say hi to the Angular community. So I'm hoping that maybe you'll come back.
Oh, yeah.
And go to Moab with us again or something.
Still my family, man.
Yeah.
Still my family forever.
Well, that's awesome. So if people want to get in touch with you to say thanks or anything, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you? Yeah,
Twitter. Like, I am super active on Twitter and I will continue to be. So definitely say hi. And if you've got some reason to chat, I would love to chat. And like I said, I'll be doing some videos, and I actually want to know what people's questions are about Google that I could answer after having been there for such a long time.
So if you have a question about, hey, I've got a question about Google, whatever it is, you're opening it up to whatever? Yeah, for sure. So if whatever it is, just go on Twitter. It's at Brad Green, right?
Bradley Green.
At Bradley Green. Hit him up. I'm guessing DMs are open. Or
sure, yeah.
Sounds like he's making some videos, so he'll be actively kind of responding to this stuff. So hit him up and ask him your questions. And then also, there's a lot of people who are going to want to say thanks. So head over to Twitter also and just tip your hat to this man. He's been a friend of mine and will continue to be, and he's been a friend to all of us. So Brad, thanks for coming on today. Thanks for the monolithic effort you've put into changing our developer world for the better.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you for being my friend, man.
Yep, same.
Okay.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next time on the next episode. Thank you.
Bandwidth for this segment is provided by CacheFly, the world's fastest CDN. Deliver your content fast with CacheFly. Visit CacheFly.com